On the 29th of July, 3 young girls were mercilessly killed by knife attack at a Taylor Swift-themed holiday club. Alice was 9, Bibi was 6, Elsie was 7. Following the attack, a law prohibiting the public naming of suspects under the age of 18 created an information vacuum, and within hours, rumours about the suspect, including an incorrect name, were circulating around the far-right media ecosystem.
Stop the fucking boats! Get them out of them hotels! Get them gone! Put them on boats and send them back! Okay? They shouldn't be here! They're endangering the safety of our families! Men will rise up, we're always going to rise up!
I just wonder whether the truth is being withheld from us. I don't know. What I do know is something is going horribly wrong in our once beautiful country.
I think Southport as a community straight away came together to mend the problem and to show that as a community they weren't represented in those riots, and that it was a separate community that came to do those riots. It were people from outside Southport really that came to try and get their political views across using that tragedy, what happened, in order to push their political views and their ideas. I think Southport has moved on greatly from that. I think, to be honest, they bonded together, they came together and just supported each other. That's how they moved on, by supporting each other, by rebuilding and fixing the mess that was made, and just showing each other with support and comfort that that's not really what Southport's about.
If you think what started it was all a misconception of where it all came from. We get hyped up on the news so much about the people coming across in boats that it ramps up this situation a lot. The thing got ridiculously out of hand and people got swept up into it who should never have been there.
I was raised up here, and for someone that looks like me to carry out that evil act is kind of terrible. It's very terrible to see in the world that somebody can go out and do something terrible. But myself personally, I think Southport is a peaceful town. I mean, it's a wonderful place. That's why all the elderly come here to retire. I mean, there's great people in the town.
Do you think it was reflective of what Southport is like usually?
Not at all, because that kid is not even from around here. I think he's from Wales, so it's not reflective of Southport at all. The youngsters here, the most noticed thing that they do is maybe garden hop. Do you know what I mean? You might see them garden hopping in your garden, but that's about it.
It's always difficult with someone like Southport that's sort of struggling to regenerate, and you see it all the time. One business opens, another closes, so at the moment it's that kind of area, I think.
Would you say that it was representative of the area, what happened at that time?
No, I don't at all. I see that as being completely out of character. Why it ever happened in the first place, to those poor little girls, we don't know to this day, but clearly that one spark of somebody giving misinformation about it being, people from abroad, just led to all these problems. I suppose within part of the community, that feeling is very high towards, people coming into the country. But, I wouldn't have thought it was a major problem in Southport.
It surprised you?
It did surprise me. I think multicultural Southport is, and I think everybody seems to get along fine.
Most people, and me included, we don't think it's representative of Southport at all. What it is people came from outside in order to make trouble. People of Southport, obviously you will have some prejudice, you will have some anti-immigrant and all that, but not to the extent of destroying everything and giving hard time to the neighborhood, especially in the time where everybody was mourning for the loss of the girls.
Can you talk to me about that week and the nights of that week? Is it true that people were hiding in the mosque?
It's not a matter of hiding, it's a matter of, because I was one of them. It's not a matter of hiding, but we came and we are no match to 500, 1,000 people waiting outside, throwing missiles and shouting and screaming. So it was the right thing to do in order to keep the peace and also not to antagonize them. is to go inside and lock the door. But as for why we're hiding, we're not hiding, we're just getting out of the way, that's all.
You were here at the mosque that night, weren't you? Were any of you here as well
I was, and...
On the night of the riots, the imam sheltered with fellow worshippers inside the Southport mosque, while bricks, bottles and other missiles were hurled at the building. Following the violence, Labour announced a £30 million package to bolster security at places of worship.
When that happened, we were devastated, obviously. But then the very next day, when we get blamed for all of it, it was like a real shock.
Yeah.
One of the things that upset me most is that I wanted to go to the visual that they had in where you just came from.
Yeah.
I wanted to go there, but because I'm dressed like this, I will be the focus of the right wing.
Yeah. I noticed that you have security here now. Is that a daily thing?
Yes, day and night. Yeah.
They break the window and everything, they break the fence and they put the fire on the wall and the charity box. These two charity box was there, but they burned it actually. So now is in the British government, they put the new window, they put the protection, they put all the door, they change the door and everything.
How do you feel about that? I mean, these huge metal bars on here now. How do you feel?
We feel more comfortable now actually because we're more safe actually. Now they put the frame and everything. Also they put the steel door and everything inside and outside everywhere. That's why we feel more protection now actually, more safe.
How do you feel in the community? Do you feel safe in the community?
Of course, yeah. Our community is very good actually, very kind, very helpful actually. No, nothing wrong with us actually. They're very kind always to us, and we're also friendly with them.
What have the community been like here in Southport? Have they been supportive?
Superb, absolutely superb. If you look behind you, they at fences here. This is the old fences, and some of the fences they are new, and this is because people came and did all that by themselves. Nobody asked them to do it, but they felt like you have to rebuild the wall. They felt like you have to help as much as they can, because they wanted to say that there is big difference between what happened here last night and our feeling towards you.
In the aftermath of the violence, it became clear the civil unrest was not a product of clashes within local communities, but of people travelling to the area, having been inundated with misinformation about the identity of the Southport attacker across Telegram, X and Facebook. The days that followed saw tragedy turned into opportunity for a select number of individuals who sought to stir racial tensions. This had been further fuelled by interventions by certain members of Parliament. You ran in Clacton during the general election, so you saw Nigel Farage up close and personal. Can you talk to me about the sort of tactics that Farage and, the Reform Party used during that election?
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously he's a charismatic, eloquent man, but the essence of his campaign is something that is a bit more sinister, something that seeks to scapegoat migrants, blame immigrants and asylum seekers for some of our issues. And he has a web of people who will use provocative language, who will inflame tensions in communities and try and divide communities and people along politics, which I don't think is really appropriate.
What would be the purpose for that sort of divide and conquer plan?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's absolutely to divide communities, to pit people against each other. I mean, we've had 14 years of austerity. There's a lack of public services, there's a lack of resources in a lot of communities, a lot of working class communities, and he's just exploiting the tensions that have already existed after 14 years. And so his plans really is just to divide and rule and ensure that his rhetoric and his politics has some form of success, but I don't think it's really working.
What sort of conditions did you see in Clacton that you felt this sort of anti-immigrant sentiment could grow from? Because I imagine it would be similar to other places in the country, for example, Southport.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, there's a lot of poverty, inequality, deprivation that exists in Clacton and also across the country. But his message doesn't seek to address any of those issues. Rather, he just seeks to blame individuals, communities for those problems rather than the government. And actually, I mean, I think it's rather a cheap analysis and poor political point scoring to try and make a really cheap point about vulnerable communities. I think it's really important that we hold strong to our principles and our values. We put forward a progressive case. We actually utilise the state to be active, to ensure that there's agency, to do something different and build about a better world.
I was actually quite shocked when the event happened, especially when the lad came from Banks, which is quite a nice area, to be absolutely honest. What I'm a bit worried about is nothing's came out about him. It's all been about the riots and people being right-wing. And I don't think the government actually understands who's coming out in the streets and why they're coming out in the streets. And as far as I'm aware, there wasn't one right-wing activist jailed for any crimes during the riots. So I blame the government, not just Labour but also the Tories, for what's happening in this country, and I don't believe they're actually listening to the people that vote for them.
For me, a racist is someone that believes that their race is superior to all other races, and you don't get that anymore. You don't get that Nazi type of racism where we want Aryan race with, they don't believe that. The people that we would call racist today, they don't believe that. They don't believe that. They're just scared or jealous or worried about stuff that they're ignorant to, that they don't know, because they haven't mixed with those cultures, they haven't integrated. They talk about foreigners coming and integrating. They do. Foreigners come and they move into communities and integrate, and more foreigners come into that integrate. But what you find is that the English people that were initially there start to move away, because the English people that were already there are the ones that don't want to integrate. They don't want to have this Pakistani or black guy or African or whatever next door to them. They would rather have. So they move away from that. It's not them. It's not the Muslims or Pakistanis or Africans that are coming and saying, oh, we want our own area. No, they've came to England to integrate. It's the English people themselves that need to integrate, accept, and just love thy neighbour. Love thy neighbour. What happened to the Christian values? It's a Christian country, Christian values. What's happened to that? What's happened to the Christian values coming together? I think after the riots, they did come together and kind of show these values, and that the values are still there. It's a tight-knit community, but we're gradually losing it, I think.